The Inca Empire was the largest empire in the pre-Columbian Americas. This empire spanned for thousands of miles, lasted for over a century and a half, and has shaped the legacy of the Andean region. The way the empire came to power, the way it functioned, and the empire's society are all fascinating things that we will cover in this video. Also, most of the information in this video was sourced from this book, Lost Civilizations: The Inca by Kevin Lane. It is a very well-written book, and I would highly recommend checking it out. If you do, there will be an Amazon link in the description. With that out of the way, let's begin. Modern scholars mostly agree that the Incas emerged from a town called Cusco in the similarly named Cusco Valley in the central part of what is now the Peruvian Andes. Archaeological evidence points to Cusco experiencing a population increase as early as the 7th century AD, though it was not until the 14th century that the town became politically relevant in the greater Andean region. You see, roughly between the years 1000 and 1450 AD, the Andes experienced what is referred to by historians as the Late Intermediate Period, during which there was political disunification but technological advancement. This allowed smaller city-states like Cusco to grow in strength. Now, here in the timeline we encounter the Inca legend of the Chanca Wars, and this legend is key to identifying the Incas' rise to power. The legend states that Cusco was being besieged by a neighboring tribe known as the Chanca. The king of Cusco, Viracocha, fled with his chosen heir, leaving one of his sons, Pachacutec, to defend the city. The legend goes on to state that the sun god Inti came to Pachacutec's aid, helping him to defeat the Chanca against seemingly impossible odds. Now, the veracity of the Chanca Wars is hotly debated within the field of Incaology. Few Incaologists doubt that Pachacutec was a real person, but many think that the legend of the Chanca Wars was perhaps just propaganda for a simple coup d'etat on the part of Pachacutec. But, regardless of how he came to power, under Pachacutec the Incas rapidly expanded across the Andes, setting the groundwork for the full might of the Inca Empire. Well, that's actually just one theory. You see, when we're studying an empire that left behind no written record, it's really hard to pinpoint what went on when and where. This first major theory of a rapidly expanding empire under Pachacutec was the dominant theory within the field of Incaology for most of the late 1900s and early 2000s. Another major theory, however, states that Cusco already had a very large territorial influence in the surrounding region under the reign of Pachacutec's father, Viracocha, and imperial expansion was much more gradual. Regardless of which theory is actually correct, what is certain is that by the year 1460, the Inca Empire was the sole power in the Andes, and for about 60 years, the empire was stable and prosperous. Speaking of which, let's take a quick break from the history and let's talk about the culture, society, and technology of the Inca Empire. Perhaps one of the strangest anomalies about the Inca Empire was that Inca society never developed many of the technological advancements that were made in other ancient societies. It was the only empire in history to have never had access to the wheel, money, pack animals, excluding the llama, iron, or even a system of writing. Despite this, the empire managed to function fairly well upon other technology already present in the Andes, such as grass suspension bridges, immaculate stone brick making, earthquake-proof building techniques, and terrace farming. In addition, the Incas built an extensive road network across the empire which allowed messages and small batches of supplies to cross thousands of miles in just a few days. How did these roads get built, you might ask? Through a very important system known as mita. Because money wasn't really a thing in the Andes, the Incas relied on a labor tax known in Quechua as mita in order to get imperial projects done. Commoners would supply 2 to 3 months of labor to the Inca government, and in return they were promised protection as well as access to Inca storehouses which contained food in case of an emergency. After the death of Pachacutec, he was succeeded by his son Tupac Inca Yupanqui, who was succeeded by his son Huayna Capac. The empire remained stable and continued to expand under both rulers. In 1526, Francisco Pizarro and a small group of conquistadors landed on the shores of the Inca Empire for a brief time, accidentally introducing smallpox to the region, which rapidly began killing off a large portion of the Inca population, including the Inca Emperor Huayna Capac, as well as his chosen heir. This left 2 of Capac's sons as candidates for the throne, Atahualpa and Huáscar. Naturally, the two settled this issue by tearing the empire apart in a civil war. Now, unlike most cultures, which would often choose the oldest son as next in line, the Incas did not have any sort of set primogeniture, so it was actually quite common for a late emperor's sons to fight a few battles with each other to determine the next emperor. This war, though, was on a much bigger scale. The entire empire was split in two, with the northern part backing Atahualpa and the southern part backing Huáscar. The war lasted for about 6 years, and Atahualpa emerged victorious. His victory was short-lived, however, as Pizarro returned in the same year, this time with his sights set on conquest. In the Battle of Cajamarca, Atahualpa was captured and later executed by the Spaniards, who then installed Atahualpa's brother as a puppet. Now, Pizarro's army was only a few hundred men, and you might be wondering how a few hundred could conquer an empire of several million. Well, first of all, the Incas had never seen horses, and therefore thought that they were monsters. Second of all, the conquistadors captured and executed the Inca emperor, Atahualpa, very early on in their conquest. This was a major psychological blow to the Incas, who believed that their emperor was a god. Thirdly, the Incas had made many enemies during their imperial expansion, and these enemies were more than happy to lend a hand to the Spaniards if it meant seeing the downfall of the Inca Empire. The legacy of the Inca Empire on the Andes is undeniable, whether it be the culture, language, or demographics of the region. I hope you found all of this as interesting as I did, and thank you for watching this video. You can help this channel out by subscribing and liking the video, and as always, credit to these people for some of the images shown here.